Comprehension is better because I could talk to you all day, every day, and you could nod your head all day. But if you don't truly understand, and you ain't never heard it's cheaper to keep her. My little African self, I'm like, what does that even mean? A lot of us who came from single parent homes, that's all we had to look up to. The Fresh Prince, Bill Cosby, all of this.
Really long marriages, like 20 years, and then they wake up and they're like, I can't do this anymore. I know.
I'm like, that's just thug it out. Both of y'all better make it an open relationship, make it something functional. Somebody with an S on his chest, and before I'm realizing, like, the S became like servant. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for a woman to even respect you again.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You can't get it back.
Impossible.
You might see a woman, she's well put together, like, oh my God, like this girl don't even look like she farts. So, like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying?
Like me.
And like you. Yeah. It's normal for a woman to break a man's heart, like, gotta go. Gotta go.
I can be happy by myself. You can be happy by yourself. And we can be happy together. So then sometimes if we don't.
What do you want to eat, Stella? I don't know. Know what marriage looks like. Real marriage looks like.
He did that. That doesn't sound good.
That doesn't sound good.
Oh, he didn't give you any money when you went out. He didn't do this.
Lord.
I'm like, hey, if that
that's
works for you, do it.
You are still married, and I'm like, oh. My brother, that could never be me.
Hey,
and
you're like, such a great role model for black people. And I'm like, inside, I'm just like dying on the inside. Do you know what I mean?
And basically, it was like looking into my future. And I said, no. Not for me. Not for me.
Okay.
What up, baby? You Gucci? You good?
Now he's sitting close to Dave.
I was sitting first. The camera caught it. The camera caught me sitting down. You brought yourself.
What?
You brought yourself.
No, because like the way your chair is, it's like you have to.
This is not a chair. This is a couch.
Okay. Chair, couch, same thing.
What can I say? I'm an English professor.
I know. That's correct to me. Yeah. Anyways, so.
Yes, love.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of More to Love. Today, I'm here myself and Mr.
Biggs Almighty, baby.
Hey. All right, so today I thought it would be really nice to talk about why marriages fail. Hey. Because this is the crux of the problem, right? Marriages are failing, and what is the reason behind it? So I thought we could talk about some issues surrounding why. Because one thing I noticed is that people can be in relationships for years before getting married, and everything is fine. Then they get married, and then problems arise, and usually the marriage, not usually, but sometimes marriage breaks down. What is the reason behind that? What is it about the institution of marriage that causes relationships to sometimes break down? I can't remember the exact stat, but it's like a really high number of relationships that fail. It's like over 50% of relationships fail once they get married. And so I just thought it'd be good to talk about that.
Well, disclaimer, I'm not no professional. I ain't none of that stuff. But
really? That's why I have you here. I thought you were the professional.
Yes, I'm a professional life experience. I've experienced
We've been
life.
to the school of life.
Yes, school of hard knocks. So that's where I am going to derive my data from. Just within self and within my circle of friends and those that, the men that I've spoken to who have gone through these problems or, overcame these problems. So yeah, I can share that insight for sure.
Okay, that's good.
And we would like to hear the last 18 years of insight too.
That's actually another thing, right? Because people stay in relationships for so long. One of the questions that I got asked when my relationship broke down was, well, if it was so bad, why did you stay for so long? I mean, I don't want to go off topic too much, but it's just like, it just came into my mind. Like, people stay in relationships way past their expiry date. Yep. And what is the reason for that? Because you did 10 years. You feel like your 10 years was justified.
Well, yes and no. There were several times that I did try to end it sooner, but I felt like a quitter. I felt like a quitter. But, I think that's even on the latter end, but problems definitely showed its head way before. For me, I would say one of the biggest answers to that question of why do marriages end, why do relationships end, is just unrealistic expectations. unrealistic expectations and there's no discussion, right? I didn't even start being so communicative till maybe 5 years into my relationship, where I'm like, oh, okay, again, I've gone, shout outs to cognitive behavior therapy. I learned that, again, people don't know what you're thinking. It's like you have to put your expectations out there. And I thought, even before that, I thought I was doing a good job communicating. And I thought I was a good communicator back then. But it's like sometimes the language that you speak in can prevent a person from even hearing you, much less understanding you, So it's like sometimes you hear people say, oh, what's the best... what's the secret to a good relationship? And everybody's communication. I think communication is good, but comprehension is better.
Yeah.
Right? Comprehension is better, because I could talk to you all day, every day, and you could nod your head all day. But if you don't truly understand, and you can't basically repeat back to me what I'm saying to you in your own words so that we can be on the same page, then what did we achieve here?
That is the difference right there between communicating and comprehension, because the person has to understand what you have said. It's like you get, you buy something, you get the instruction book, like it's all written there, all the communication is there, but you don't understand it. Like, what is this?
What is this? Like, put it in layman's terms for me, because my layman's term might be different for somebody else.
Exactly. So I think that's a really, really huge factor in why some expectations are not being met, because we're not communicating what it is that we want or what we expect from the relationship, and therefore we are falling short a lot of the time. I think if I look at my relationship, I stayed for so long because I felt like that's what you were supposed to do. I just felt like you've gone into this thing, like you can't just get up and leave. You have to, this is what you signed up for, so you keep going no matter how bad things feel. Take your feelings out of it, especially once you've had kids. You feel like, well, now you definitely can't leave. Now
you are
there's
stuck
a lock
like
on
Chuck.
the door. Do you know what I mean?
Listen. My ex-wife basically sat me down and gave me a breakdown. Like, this is maybe 5 years into our marriage. Like, sat down and was like, You ain't never heard it's cheaper to keep her? My little African self, I'm like, what does that even mean? It's like, oh, well, this is what's going to cost you for child support, alimony, this, that. I'm sitting there, I'm like, what? What are we talking? We don't even spend this much on the kids, right? Where is this math coming from? Well, this is what my cousin gets, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, well, it looks like I'll be
4 years into your marriage.
Basically 4 years.
And then you stayed another 6.
So, again, even... we can say stay very loosely. I don't know if you heard me in my previous, in the previous parts of our podcast, I said 10 years on paper. It really, things started going south right around the 5-year, 6-year mark. So I wouldn't even, when you're married, you're married. Ain't no on and off. This ain't like no boyfriend, girlfriend relationship. It ain't we taking a break, da. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to see why we're even together at this point and how we're going to make it work. And we tried. I know I put my best foot forward. And I was like, nah, for me to be the best version of myself for my kids, because now that I'm married and I have kids in this, in the fold now, I have to prioritize. And then, this is my thinking then, and now it's changed, because I think a lot of the times marriages also fail because we misplace priorities, right? So my priority then was like, okay, kids first, wife, family, and I don't even know if I even thought about myself, So this in there somewhere, I started to lose sense of self, all of that good stuff. And I didn't even know that until after my divorce. And I'm now out here in the world trying to figure out, I'm like, I don't even know what I like. I don't even know how to date, because I'm moving in such a marriage mindset that, like, the moment one date is all it takes for me to be with somebody. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, well, I think I like you. Let's figure this thing out, because what are we doing? Listen, let's get to the nitty gritty. Like, what I'm saying? I'm looking for a life partner. Yeah. So that in itself, I had to really reset. Yeah. I had to really reset and rebalance myself. But again, during that time frame of trying to figure things out, you just start to realize so many things that you did wrong before getting married, the things that you miss, all the steps that you miss. There should be a blueprint. And most of us from single parent homes, uncultured homes, whatever the case is, we just get up and we do what we think we're supposed to do due to society's pressure, due to, again, things we see in the movies. Because for a lot of us, that was very influential in our lives, you know, these romantic movies. And I'm going to keep, you know, shining light on that, because for people in my generation, a lot of us who came from single parent homes, that's all we had to look up to. The Fresh Prince, you know, Bill Cosby, all of this thing. That's where we derive what a home looks like, you know. We ain't never see that in real life.
Yeah.
You know, so we try to keep those standards, and then we get with somebody who probably didn't even have that upbringing or even doesn't have that outlook, and they're like, nah, I'm not trying to be that woman. Actually, I was raised on this different show, and you're like, that's ratchet, that's not for me. Like, I don't want this lifestyle. So it's just unrealistic expectations is definitely number one on that list.
I think a lot of relationships definitely go past their expiry date because we continuously try to think, let's put in some more effort, let's do this, let's do that. And, you know, since I started on this relationship journey, I've had so many people reach out to me and have been in like really long marriages, like 20 years, and then they wake up and they're like, I can't do this anymore. And really that 20-year marriage should have been a 5-month relationship, because you should have known this is it, and this is where the cutoff line was. But we keep holding on to things, you know, like the fear of...
Just hearing that, it's like, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I hear people with 20, 30, 40-year relationship, they divorce. I'm like...
I know.
I'm like, that's just thug it out. Both of y'all better... Like, make it an open relationship. Make it something functional. Because
but you'd be surprised. Some people have tried those things and they still haven't worked because they're just not compatible with the person. And the things that they want to do, now they're at a point in life where they're now trying to discover who they are. That's what you said about the discovery. Like, you lose yourself in your marriage, right? And then most people, I would say like at least 90% of people have to rediscover themselves after marriage because they've lost themselves along the way somewhere.
A caveat that I wanted to throw in there on this journey of, you know, losing yourself as a man, right? And this was something that was so prevalent during that time for me when I would go and try and get advice from people. The most ridiculous thing, and it's so ridiculous to me right now, and a lot of y'all probably gonna hate me for this, but this happy wife, happy life notion, oh my God. That's what sunk me, you know. I feel like that's what sunk me into this state of like, I don't even know what I like, because all I'm worried about is her happiness, her putting a smile on her face, you know, whatever she says. And before I realized, like, I came into this relationship as like, you know, somebody with an S on his chest. And before I'm realizing, like, the S became like servant. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, it's like I'm sitting down one day and just looking, I'm like, the hell, this is not me. How did I end up here? Like, I have needs too. I have wants. I want desires. There are things that that goals and things. Like, where did it all go?
Bingo.
I've been focused on this person, pouring into this person, consistently giving it my all, and there's nothing being reciprocated. The most this person ever did for me was give me children, and to them, that was it. Because of the children they've given me, that's all their purpose in this life was. And so now I owe them the world and everything. And I'm sitting here like, what the hell? That's 2 grown adults came up with that plan, that game plan. Like, you know, so I believe, I believe that these kids were made out of love. So I don't think it was a agreement that like, hey,
I've done my part now.
I've done my part. I'm finished. Now you serve me. Like, what? You know, so when I started, I think when I kind of, it's almost like they say, when a woman loses respect for you as a man, it's like most men understand now that you got to walk away. Like, it's hard to, you know, for a woman, it's hard for a woman to even respect you again.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You can't get it back. You know, and for me, it was that kind of roller coaster. It was like, okay, boom, of course, you're crushing on me, everything. You have this level of respect for me. We get in this relationship. That respect tumbles down because now I'm no longer that person. I'm this person who's like at your beck and call. Or you feel like you got me wrapped around your fingers. So when you come to that realization and you try to that conflict, when that conflict ensues of, okay, nah. I used to be here. I need to get back here. And you're like, no, you're here. You need to stay here. And that consistent battle is like, nah. Yeah. And so it's like, I feel ultimately, to a certain degree, most relationships are even like that. You know, people know who they're getting in a relationship with, but they get in the relationship and then they try to, what do you call it? Like either change the person or when the person does change, instead of honoring that change, they kind of like look at it like, oh, I got you now. Like you're not going anywhere. Like, so I'm going to be the worst version of myself instead of being the best version of myself.
Yeah, I think those are really good points. You know, when it comes to one thing I've noticed, I can't remember if I said it before, if it was when we were talking earlier, I said that, you know, a lot of people are in relationships for like many years, and then they get married and then the relationship breaks down. Like, what is it about the institution of marriage that causes relationships to break down? Not the marriage to break down, but the relationship itself to break down. And, you know, as we were talking, some things popped up. And it is very much along the lines of what you were just saying, you know. If people become complacent, they feel like they don't have to work for this person anymore because they've essentially got them now. You know, other things come in and take priority, especially once you have kids. The dynamic of your relationship changes. You know, you're not focused on that person and that person's happiness anymore. You're not excited to see the person. No. You know, you're not putting in these... It
becomes the norm.
Yeah, you're not putting in this extra effort that you were putting in when you were dating. Even if you were living together, there's still things that, you know, you want to make the other person happy, you know. And once you get married, it's almost like everything just comes down, like, and you relax.
It's that familiarity, you know.
Yeah.
And again, unrealistic. It's like the bottom line is unrealistic expectation. You might see somebody and like, I don't know, like from a man's perspective, and I don't know if this is even universal, but like, you know, you might see a woman, she's well put together, like, oh my God, like this girl she don't even look like she farts. Like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying?
Like me.
And like you, like you. You know, she like this girl's like absolutely flawless, and then you get with them and you probably start seeing like, oh, they have some flaws, right? And then in your mind you're like, ugh. And it's like we pedestalize people. And then when they start to fall short of this ridiculous expectations that we put them on, we start to resent them when we really should be resenting ourselves, because we're the ones who put them on that pedestal in the first place. They never asked to be there, you know? And I feel like for most of my past relationships, there were some people who probably got with me thinking like, oh my God, he's just got it all together. Like, I want him.
Yeah.
They get me and they realize like, oh, this guy got drama too. He got problems too. And it's like, but there's something that I probably gave them, provided for them, that they knew they couldn't get anywhere else. So they probably thugged it around to thinking that, oh, we could probably change this guy. He could be different. He could be this. Only to realize that like, no, he is who he says he is.
Like, you're just very normal.
And you're very normal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're very normal, very straightforward, and it's like, what do you do? And I realized that for the longest time, I used to be very hesitant to be the person to break it off. You know, because again, it's like, it's normal for a woman to break a man's heart, like, you know, but it's like for a man to like break it off with a woman, it's like, you know, there's a lot that has to, it takes a lot. It takes a lot for a man to even break it off with a woman. And you know, the impact too on a woman. So it's like, sometimes you don't want to have that on your head top as a man. He's like, nope, I don't want that burden, man. I'd rather just be I'd rather let myself go and let her walk away than do the hard task of breaking it off. But that's why I said one of my biggest non-negotiables is anything that's going to endanger either of us, gotta go. Gotta go.
You know, I'd like to give an example of, so yesterday we had a bit of a strange day, right? So usually, you know, like if you see us on camera, we're having a great time, we have fun when we go out, but that's one side of the relationship. But then there's the side when you're at home and things are completely normal and there's nothing happening. And like yesterday we had a day like that where you were just doing your own thing, I was doing my own thing. And I feel like in some marriages, every day can be like that for people. and it just gets monotonous. It's okay to have the odd day like that where it's just a level day, like nothing is happening here, nothing to see here. You know, but then you have to put into your relationship as well. So then that's why it's important to date in your marriage, to make sure you're still exploring things that you like about the person, that, you know, you have to keep that spark alive, and the only way to do that is to have fun with this person, go out, do stuff, you know?
I want to throw a caveat in there, right? Sometimes that is the problem as well, is that people are not happy with the ordinary. Right? They're constantly chasing the excitement from the beginning. People are not. So I'll give an example, right? In my first year of meeting my ex, military, we were both booze, so it was like a 9-month. We were a 9-month deployment, right? So we're in a ship. And those of y'all who was in the military and the Navy, y'all know how it goes, right? You're in a ship. Everything's being provided to you. You got laundry service, you got food service, you know, you just got to wake up and do your job and keep it moving, right? So you don't have real worldly problems. So it's like you had all the time in the world. It's like you on a free cruise, you're on an all expense paid cruise trip, right? So for 9 months, you got this person and you can talk to them whenever you want. You can bond with them. You can, like, you hit foreign cities and you're going out and exploring. So it's like you're on a honeymoon, right? And then once you get back after the deployment and you're now here where you need to be, and like life starts to life. Oh, okay, like, oh wait, you got a place, I got a place, we got 2 different places, we got, you know, rents, we got this, we got to pay for car note, we got to figure out these things, this thing that life is about. And then, you know, then that's when the real stuff really starts to happen. So a lot of people go into a relationship thinking that marriage is all about a honeymoon phase. It is not. You know, I think sometimes that's why I think it's best to even find somebody who's even okay with themselves on an ordinary, you know, on an ordinary scale.
Exactly.
You two, you got to be okay with yourself on an ordinary scale. Together, you know, you guys could be ordinary together, and that the you know, the highs and lows of excitement, you could enjoy them when they come, but be realistic.
That's a great point. So you have to keep your independence as well. So I can be happy by myself, you can be happy by yourself, we can be happy together.
And then we come and add it on.
Exactly, because if you're relying on the other person wholly for the happiness, to give you that feeling of joy all the time, you've already lost, because that person cannot meet those expectations. For starters, you're not going to know exactly what I want all the time. And I'm not being funny. Women can be very complicated, right? We are not straightforward. So there's sometimes, if we don't...
What do you want to eat, Stella? I don't know.
You see, like, there's sometimes, like, your partner will not know what it is that you want.
Sometimes they don't even know.
Yeah, and it's true. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes I don't know what I want. Sometimes it's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. But I know I'm not okay, but me too, I don't even know what's wrong with me. I don't know, it's just like...
something is wrong, I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, but sometimes I'm just naturally quiet, and so sometimes I just go into this natural quiet zone. And like, the more you get to know me, the more you'll see it, and you'll be like, oh, she's just in that quiet zone. Because that's just how I am, do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily that there's something wrong with me, I'm just in a zone.
Get it?
You know, and so you have to learn your partner like that too. There are so many things, you know, like you have your ways too.
Hey, okay, we're not here to talk about me. Yeah, here to talk about there's more to love.
Yes, we are.
But yeah, I think there was a reel that I came, and it was the guy I came across. This guy's going around like interviewing this couple, and I loved one thing that this couple said. They've been married 30 years plus, and it was like they just kept layering on it. I was like, yes. The first thing, well, I don't think it was the first thing, but one of the things they said that stuck out to me was, you know, he asked him, how did you guys make it work for so long? You know what I'm saying? The first thing he said, one of the things he said was, she lets me be me. If I'm out and in public and I want to be silly or whatever the case is, and, you know, she lets me be me. If we're out in public and she wants to, I let her be her. We know each other well enough, and we allow each other to be who they are. We don't try to change them, none of that stuff. And then it's like it went on. There were other kind of points that just kept laying on top. But then the other thing that stuck out to me too was that he said at the end of it all that she came from a household where both parents were married 60 plus years. he also came from a household where both, so they know what marriage looks like. Real marriage looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They were brought up in that household. So the two combined efforts of people who are coming from this background already lets you know there's like a higher chance of success rate.
That doesn't mean that people that came from single parent households cannot.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But if you put those two groups of people toe to toe together, there's a higher chance of that success rate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Simply because it's like you've seen it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? But seeing it for yourself out of the equation, right? If you come from a single parent household and you haven't truly, like, it's all about what you envision. I think the unrealistic expectations come from, we don't talk about what's your vision for this marriage. What do you see? You know what I'm saying? And if we had this real conversation, I'm sure that you probably see that a lot of people have a fairy tale mindset of what marriage looks like. You know what I'm saying? And depending on your partner, they might be on board with that, they might not be on board with that.
Yeah.
But once you get into it together, you're both going to realize that it's not all fun and games. And at that point, you're going to have to make a serious decision on how to move forward. But some people get there and they start looking to point finger at the next person. Instead of taking ownership together that maybe we jumped the gun too soon. Yeah. Maybe we didn't do our due diligence on each other to make sure that this. Instead of, no, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. No.
You know, and a lot of, to add on to what you're saying, a lot of the problems in marriages as well is because we let too many outside influences into the relationship. And that causes huge problems for the couple, because you're no longer remembering what works for the two of you. You're now hearing somebody in your ears saying, he did that doesn't sound good. Good. Oh, he didn't give you any money when he went out. He didn't do this. Lord. My partner does this and Meanwhile, beforehand, those things didn't disturb you, but somebody else is in your ear saying these things and giving you expectations that are not even your own expectations, and it's influencing the relationship. And that's what causes relationships to break down, when you let other people come in. And let me say this as well, right? Relationships work in different ways for different people. I remember seeing this thing on Instagram where the woman was saying that her and her husband live in two different houses. And they've been married for years and it works. I'm like, hey, if that works for you, do it. Yep. Like, don't let somebody else come in your ear and say, but you have to live under the same roof. If you can live under the same roof and you're happy, then it's fine. If you live in different houses and it works for you, it's fine. Because at the end of the day, nobody's in your experience. It's your experience. It's what works for the two of you.
It's not your about life. You only got one.
Exactly. It's about the two of us. It's not about the two of us and everybody else in our circle. Because it can't work. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. Yeah. It doesn't work. So that's why you have to remember that it's about the two of you ultimately, and not allow people to speak into a relationship where they shouldn't have authority.
I call them, if the moment you cross that line, you basically have stakeholders in your relationship now. These people become heavily invested.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and you're either going to create ruptures in your relationship with them, or ruptures in your relationship with them and your significant other. If you do not draw that line in the sand. I'm a big proponent of that. There was a thought came in mind and I just lost it too. Shoot.
I was talking too much just then.
No, it's fine. You're so big, girl. I think it was along the lines, I'm gonna try and jog my memory. It was definitely along the lines of people having stake in your relationship. I think somewhere along the lines we have to remember that, that's what it was. I'll get back to this point later. I was going to say another caveat, right? Just because people have also been together for a long time doesn't necessarily mean that you want their relationship to. I just want to throw that out there, just because, you know what I'm saying? Because I've seen with my own two eyes people who to this date are still married, and I'm like, my brother, that could never be me. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of, having people have stake in your life, it's like I try to bring in my past relationship, I tried to bring the culture, the culture of, the Ghana culture. Like, okay, your mom, your dad, they ain't got, nowhere to go. Come, they can move in, of course. This, then, the third, right? Man, to a degree, that was a good thing, in my opinion. Hindsight is always 20/20. Because I got to see firsthand basically how my ex was raised. And basically it was like looking into my future, and I said, no. Not for me. Not for me. This ain't for me whatsoever. We're gonna nip this in the bud right here and there. Me, I'm from Ghana. I'm African Mano.
Yes.
I wear the pants any and everywhere I go. So if you don't like it, my friend, it's not cheaper to keep it. I'm not keeping it. And this one back to sender. And ultimately, when you come to the realization, as a man, you got to take action and do what you have to do. What's best for you.
You know, there's some things that are taboo to talk about, but I think we should talk about it.
Absolutely.
Because culture plays a huge part in who you pick. It can affect your relationship hugely. And I'm just going to say this for myself, I know whoever I date has to understand my culture. They have to be from my culture in order for it to work in the easiest way possible. I have tried to date outside the culture and it doesn't work for me. There's so much misunderstanding and there's so much learning that has to take place that it's like, are you willing to put in that effort? Because I think another reason that our relationship works is because we have the same cultural background. There are certain things that are just boundaries that we don't have to talk about.
You don't even like.
We don't have to.
I don't even need. You don't need to even elaborate on that. And I'm like, oh, sorry, it's not my fault. I've been dating out of my culture for way too long. It's not my fault.
It makes it. The culture that you're both from makes an absolute difference. That doesn't mean that if you're dating somebody from a different culture, it can't work. It's just that more effort is needed. But when you're both from the same culture, it's easier. Like there's certain things that I understand.
There's a lot of less hurdles to jump over.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like when you came to meet my auntie, right? I don't have to worry is he gonna have the respect? And I don't have to pre-warn him about certain things. He knows how to handle the situation, and it's just so much easier. It's like
crazy. I didn't think about that.
Do you see what I'm saying? It just makes it easier. Whereas you don't know what you're stepping into when it's somebody from a different culture. You don't know. You don't understand.
It's more work.
A lot of work.
Don't get it twisted. It can work.
Yes.
But it's work.
Yes.
You got to work it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't work it, or if you're just like, you know what, this is a little too much work, it's okay to throw in the towel. And that's why we stay too long, because a lot of us don't want to look like quitters. We're like, dang, man, like, in the beginning, especially for me in my past, it was like, we were within the community that we were like the epitome of like black love, and oh my God, like I want, like, everybody want like constant compliments. The kids are looking good, your wife is looking good, you're looking good, you guys are moving like a unit, we love how, so it's like that comes with a certain level of high, you know what I'm saying? And you don't want to fall off that pedestal. You do anything and everything, and then, but again, and they say if a bug is to bite you, it's gonna come from your cloth, right? It all happens from within.
What you said is exactly the same thing that I experienced. Because when I was married, people were just like, "You've been married for so many years, and you have all these kids. This is amazing. You guys are doing great. And you're like, such a great role model for black people." And I'm like, inside, I'm just like dying on the inside. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, please don't put me on this stool because I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I want to get out of this.
Blink twice.
Please. You know what I'm saying? Like, please. I need help, please. Do you know what I mean? People put you on this pedestal, and so you feel like you can't leave, and it's just like this thing. And it doesn't just even, that's because I was in social media, but it doesn't just come from social media. It comes from your family sometimes too, even your friends. That pressure where it's like, you're stuck in this situation, like people's expectations. It's really important to remain grounded when you're in your marriage or relationship, and I actually would prefer if, like, when you're in a relationship, you don't even think of it as a marriage. You're just in a relationship, because I feel like when you start saying marriage, it's like an institution that sometimes stifles people. But this is more about a relationship, and however that relationship works for you, whether it's your long-term partner, your married partner, whether you've just made a commitment to each other, whatever it is, however that relationship works, that's why I say I don't like the idea of marriage, because I feel like it brings in some negative things. I'm not saying marriage doesn't work. I just feel like it brings in some negative things, and
it can.
Whatever works for you, for your relationship to last, is what works for you.
Yeah, I think it's all words and their meaning, and everybody interpret words differently.
Yeah.
So, as a man, when you meet a woman and you think you're ready to get married, define for yourself what that marriage is going to look like. This woman that you're seeking, ask her. You don't have to even, I don't think, and I say this particularly to men because I do believe that men should play a leadership role in marriages. And so as a leader, it's your job. You're basically a chief executive officer. You're a CEO of this establishment, this business, right? It's your job to interview this woman and see where her vision lies. Does that, like what she's saying, does it add on? Does it take away from your vision? And then make that decision from that point on out. But sometimes we meet somebody, we think they're so fine that we say, we need to work on this vision. But come on, but we'll work on this vision. But first come on board and then we'll work on work on it first before you even sign those papers. Because once you signed, it's signed. Once it's signed, it's signed, bro. Like it's easier to get married than it is to get divorced.
I can't remember where it is. I don't know if it was the podcast we listened to yesterday or something like that. Someone was saying something along the lines of, it's like when you go for a job interview, right, and they say, okay, I'm going to give you this job, and it's going to pay this amount of money, but you need to have this qualification. Was it on the podcast?
It was on something. Go ahead, keep talking about it. Let me see if I can dig it up.
They said, okay, so I'm going to give you the job, right? And then while you're in this role, you can work towards this qualification.
Having a something about having a master's degree.
Yeah, having a master's degree in it, yeah. And so we kind of do the same thing with relationships. We're like, okay, the person doesn't have the vision, they're not fully on board with this thing yet, but let's bring them in and let's work on it. The person's not necessarily going to work on it because they're comfortable. But before that person steps into the role, if you say you need to go get that qualification before I can give you this role, the chances are they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that their thing is tight before joining the ship. And sometimes we jump on things prematurely.
And I think a caveat they do in it says, so you can't, the person can't be mad when they get fired after having like a 2-year grace period of getting their degree. But then some people end up, when they're fired from this position, instead of them being mad at themselves for not executing this the process of getting the degree within the first couple of months, they get mad at the person for firing them. Saying that this job was shit. But really you didn't hold on to your end of the bargain.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That, my friend, is the story of my life.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. You refuse. God forbid. Yeah. Definitely.
I think this is like a really huge topic. Like you can talk about
all day.
There's so much because there's so many things that causes marriage.
There was a point that I wanted to make, and I can't.
Yeah, there were like a few things. We're talking about their financial reasons as to why marriages fail.
Some people want to say, I honestly, I feel like when you ask most people, like if we go outside and we just start asking people 21 questions, some people will be like, infidelity or whatever the case is. But I don't think infidelity is number one, like a lot of people try to make it seem, especially once you're married. You know what I'm saying? I feel like people find a way through infidelity, again, to make it work.
Yes.
And I hate to even be that person because I don't agree with this notion, but even some people stay with each other after fucking abuse. I don't condone that shit. I think no.
Yeah.
I've been a witness to people who continue to stay between verbal, physical, and I'm just like, again, like I said, homeboy, it can't be me. I think in the past I mistook a person's character for a mistake. Being able to differentiate that this is who a person is. This is how they respond to conflict versus, I messed up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like at the first sign of like a complicated situation of conflict, right? Again, the fight or flight. What is it? I can't even speak. Fight or flight.
That's first language. Fight or flight.
English is not my first language. I can't even say, can you even say fight or flight in that way?
Fight or flight? No, I can't say
exactly. So English is our first language, whether we like it or not. So a person's fight or flight response, right, in a relationship, again, determines how they handle conflict.
Yeah.
And we gotta be, I think we spoke about this before, which was you have your love languages, but you gotta also have your conflict.
Yes.
Basically, your conflict resolution languages too.
Yeah.
And most people, that could easily spiral into abuse.
Yeah.
If you can't differentiate the two. That, hey, okay, somebody, I don't know, made a mistake this time. And no, it's like, okay, well, the next time they did it, but the envelope just keeps getting pushed. And now you realize that, no, this is a person's character. Like,
yeah.
You got to stage exit left. Jump off that, jump out that moving vehicle, bro.
You have to know when to leave. You have to know when to leave. And a lot of us, we don't know when to leave. And that's what caused us to stay for so long.
Shame.
Yeah, shame, like...
guilt.
All of it.
Yeah,
Other
of course,
people's
children.
expectations. Yeah,
they're staying together for the children. No.
I think that's one of the worst things you can do. Yeah. I'm sorry to say it.
Because I don't believe parenting ends simply because you're no longer together. Marriage is more about you two, and again, your union. And if you do it right, it's about the legacy that you're going to leave behind for the kids that you put into this world. But if you split up and you have your own life and you got your own life here, the legacy still continues. Yeah. It just looks differently. The parenting still continues. It just looks differently. But split together is more about the relationship that you have with your significant other. If we don't do well and thrive under this roof together, then let's find our way out. You know. Yeah. But these kids, we still got to want the best for them. Let's put our best foot forward.
Absolutely. I just wanted to touch on something you said really quickly about the infidelity, because most people think that infidelity is the last straw in a relationship. It's not for many people. No. A lot of people, if you are getting what you want from the home, if you feel safe and you feel secure and the relationship is working well, infidelity is not going to break your marriage. I'm not saying that gives your partner a right to go out and cheat and stuff like that, but I'm saying that is not what will necessarily break the marriage. There are things beneath that have contributed towards that infidelity becoming the last straw, but that is not necessarily the reason for the breakdown of a marriage. I would say the majority of it is to do with there's an underlying issue apart from the infidelity. Infidelity is just like...
It's a cherry on top.
Yeah, it's just a cherry on top. There's things inside the home that are not right first before that has happened. I'm not being funny. Men can cheat. Like, it is what it is. I'm not condoning it. No, but it's true. Men can cheat. Women cheat too. Women cheat too.
They cheat better. But some of us still know. We know what they did.
There is a difference between when men and women cheat. Women cheat with their heart. Men cheat with their penis.
Their penis.
It's true. When a woman cheats, it's usually a lot deeper. It's a lot more emotions involved.
Some men cheat with their heart too.
Some, I know, but I'm saying like the bulk of it. Most men, they just see a woman and just like, I want to see what that's like.
Big nyasha shako. Why is it because I said big? Okay, small nyasha shako.
Because we have to have a big one.
I'm dead. Hey, that's for our own time. No ugly. I said no ugly laughs today. I can't do no ugly laughs on camera today.
Oh, no. This is part of who we are.
No, but it's not for them.
No, I'll cut some of it.
Okay. Stupid. I love you. Hey, the camera's still rolling.
Yeah.
Sorry. Cuts the spots out.
Yeah.
Anyway, any other points?
I think those are really...
I think we had some bullet points, right?
We did, but they're on my phone, which were
you too. Big girl like you don't have two phones.
Oh, no. Hey, I'm waiting for my man to buy me at the second phone.
It's not cheaper to keep her.
Yeah.
It's not cheaper to keep her.
Whatever. Yeah, no, but I think we touched on most of I
think the most important part.
But we can always continue the conversation in the comment section anyway. So if you guys have anything that you'd like to add to what we said as to the reasons why marriages fail, then we'd love to.
Yes, tell us why your marriage failed.
You know, don't tell us.
Yes, don't tell us what you've seen on TV. No, tell us if you had a marriage. Why? Matter of fact, let's not just focus on the negative. Tell us why your marriage failed. Tell us why your marriage worked. Anything else in between, and let's shine some light to that. I think that'll be good.
You know what I would really love to do as this channel grows is I would like to have a community where we actually talk about these issues like on a more personal level, because we want to grow and want to learn. But this, I don't want this to just be a thing where we just come and talk and we all go about our lives. Like, let's learn, let's encourage each other, let's spur each other, you know. That is how we make an impact. That is the
purpose of this channel. That's the purpose of this partnership. I believe that our slogan is the more you learn, the more you grow. Right? And no need to gatekeep anything, bro. Like if we want this human experience to be great for us and even better for our offsprings, then it's best that we share as much valuable information as possible. You know, because again, we know what programming looks like. We can take charge of what programming looks like by setting our own programming, right? Putting our own information out there. We don't got it all together. We don't know everything. But the more we share, the more we come together and put out, the more this society, this community is going to grow and get a better understanding of who and what they deserve at the very least. You feel me?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's another reason why we are putting ourselves out there publicly as well, because we want to show you the things that we're doing. We don't have it together all together. We're figuring it out, but we're going to figure it out publicly so that you guys can see as well.
As much as possible.
Yeah, as much as possible. We still have some private life.
Sometimes it's not your business. Mind your business. Mind the business that pays you. You know?
Yes, but we will be as honest and open as possible so that we can learn from each other. In a
constructive sense, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
And I think that's a really good place to end this video.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Yeah.
Let me go and tickle her small.
Right. Stop that. Don't you dare.
I'm not doing it on camera.
Don't you dare.
Okay, I won't.
You dare. You know I don't like it. Anyway. Stop it, you know I don't like it. Stop. Okay. Why are you doing that?
I'm just holding it. But are we not saying our bye? Okay, that's all.
Okay.
Say bye. Why are you jumping? Why are you so jumpy?
Hey, let me end the video.
Be demure. Okay. Big girl like you, I still taking it at this age.
Stop. Anyway, so that's the end of today's video. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment, and share this video. Until next time, we are out.
Yeah,
stop!
Right.
Stop!
Did I do it right?
You did.
Who's the boss?
Both of us. 50-50, no?
50-50 where?
Okay, 49-51.
No. 100%.
Hey.
I want to know.
Hey, stop!
Turn off the camera.
I'm trying to, but you keep like...
I surrender. I surrender.
Better surrender.